what it means to be an fully online learner. One of the things you get to see right in front of you is that many of your classmates are from different areas of North Carolina or even the Southeast than you're from. So it makes for a very diverse and varied experience. And I think that that's one of the fantastic things about being a fully online learner, and that your colleagues will have experiences from all over. Before I get started, I'd like to introduce you to Lena Lemire. Lena, you want to wave real quick? There's Lena. She is our Director of Recruiting and Communications. So Lena does a lot with the grad inbox. So she's kind of our first line of defense when you have questions. She'll be the voice on the phone or the person who's behind the inbox. But she's also someone who does a lot of the communication. So when we're reaching out to let you know about professional development, she's the one driving a lot of that. And we try really hard to use our communications wisely. We try not to send you things that we might send to a fully residential person, so that you don't feel like you're being totally inundated and spammed to death. So that's who's here tonight. We will be using the chat feature, which I can see that you've already gotten a chance to drop your information in. If you have any questions while I'm going through the slides, please feel free just to drop your questions in the chat. Lena is super quick at getting them answered. If she can't answer them, or if she can't fix it, like if it's a registration issue like that Michael had, she will maybe drop a link for someone who you can reach out to. So don't feel like you need to take notes. We're going to make this available. Lena's going to record this, and she'll hit the record in just a moment. But she's going to record this, and we will put it up on our website so that you can access it and review it as needed. But welcome again, and I am going to jump into the slides here, and we will get started. So first things first, how do you reach us? And if you have any kind of questions, we are a great first stop. If we can't figure out, if we don't know the answer, and it could be with having people from as diverse as human resources to, School of Nursing and everything in between. We may not know the answer right away, but we can certainly get the answer for you or give you good contact. So we're a great first stop for you. We want you to feel connected to the graduate school, even though you may be in Charlotte or Atlanta or Swannanoa. And our hours are 8 to 5. We have a website that we also have a phone. If you're someone who prefers to use the telephone, we have that as well. But start with us, get us a question, should you have any, or if something doesn't seem or doesn't feel quite right, please let us know about it, and we'll do everything we can to make sure your experience is a good one. We're also on social media. If you want, that's another great way to feel engaged and a part of our community, and you can like us on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn. We're on all the usual places. So the first thing I want to tell you, and this is kind of an odd thing considering that, we're looking at the chat, I'm looking at the same time you are, and, we're all over North Carolina, we're all over the Southeast. We will occasionally, in some of our construction management, get people out, across the world. And it's really important to us that you feel a part of this community and you feel a part of Western Carolina, and that you consider yourself a Catamount, because we sure do. And one of the ways you can do that is to engage. It doesn't mean you need to make a trip here. It just means that you actively become part of our community. And that is a really vibrant and rigorous academic community. So I'll be talking as we get into this about some ways you might engage, even, from the comfort of your living rooms, as I see many of you are joining us from. And I want, to tell you that it's just going to take some intentionality on your part. It's just going to, most of you are working professionals. which we know, and you are already juggling a full-time job and probably full-time kids, and various other, parts of your life. So it will take some kind of putting aside a time to connect with your classmates, and it will make this journey that you are beginning much more enjoyable. First things first, and we're going to be kind of talking about a lot of different action items tonight. Some of you, if you're coming straight out of undergrad, this is going to feel like, yeah, I got that. That was the same as where I was, or maybe even if you were here. For some of you, maybe it's been a while since you were in higher education. Maybe some of you came through education like I did, pre the internet. And so the way that you interact is completely different. So I'm going to try and hit, both of those types of learners that we have. But again, please feel free to drop some notes, to drop some questions in, and we'll get them answered. But really the most important thing and the kind of one-stop place for you is your My WCU portal. If you haven't set that up yet, you need to go ahead and do that. You already have one. It's not going to look 100% like what you're seeing on the screen, but it's going to look pretty closely. It's going to have your CAT card. It's going to have your 920 number. Again, for my new people who haven't been back to school in a while, it's not your social anymore. Your social really doesn't mean anything anymore, and that's not what we use to track people. In fact, it's completely removed from your application. So we really can't even pull you up by your social. But we can do that with your 920. Your financial aid, your tuition, all of that will be in a part of your portal, and all of those are hot links. You can see this is a little bit old. So we are referring to Blackboard. We have changed, and we are now a Canvas school. So where you see Blackboard, you're going to see the words Canvas. Quick Links provides exactly like you would imagine. You've got advising and tutorial help. You'll see Canvas, which is our classroom space, or our online learning management system. You can launch your email from your My WCU. You can get help, any kind of technology help, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. Your library account. If you are someone who's close enough by that you think you might use the printing features, there's going to be that as well. So that's kind of a nice preview of how you register, how you know what the class schedule is, how you know what your books are. All of that start here, and that's really going to take you through it, as well as it's going to try and customize some of the announcements that you get. We have a website, which I referred to earlier. You can see this is a screenshot from the older one. It's been updated, and it says welcome new graduate students, and it will say summer 2023. But you will see on there a couple of really important things. You'll see a video of this, and that's if you want to review that. But you're also going to see some meet your student service providers, and it has an explore the videos. Those are going to be about 50%, relevant to you. Some of those are things that are just here on campus, but some of them are not. Some of them are things like the library. The library is just as much your library as it is for someone who lives a half a mile away from here. So that would be a video definitely worth your while to take a look at, to find out how do you get what you need to. Same with the bookstore. The bookstore has a lot of virtual options. So as you have time, explore those videos and the service providers that are for you. All the tutoring services, the career placement, that's all for you. So be sure to check those out. And it'll also kind of give you a face of the director. And so you kind of know when you reach out, here's who I'm chatting with, here's who I'm talking to. So a great website for you with a lot of really useful information. If you have not already set up your email, I promise you it is waiting, filled with information. But you do want to go ahead and set up your Catamount email. It'll be some combination of your first or last name, some kind of number. and it will say catamount.wcu.edu. I think most of us now know that that is the official means of communication. You really do need to check it at least once a day. For online learners, really you need to be checking it about 3 times a day. And I know that's a lot for you, those of you who are kind of working professionals, but if you can keep an eye on it, it will really help you, again, feel engaged, but just also any kind of action items that are coming through. And Megan, I appreciate what you've dropped in the chat here. Probably many of you have welcome emails from your program directors. And I see that, so DNP home place is kind of how they keep up with your clinical. So we don't have those available to us at the graduate school. And so reach out to Dr. Trombley if you can't figure out how to get into those. But that's something you definitely want to do. And if you can't, if you don't get something back from Dr. Trombley, let us know and we'll dig around again and see what we can find out. CAP card. There's, if you're willing to get a CAP card, you don't absolutely have to have it. Like, you probably won't need a CAP card in Atlanta. But here's the beauty of it. It affiliates you with Western Carolina, but it does sometimes get you some discounts. There are definitely stores and businesses that do reductions and coupons for students, and have, oh, here's the student price, especially like museums and things like that you might want to do. So it's not going to hurt you. I would suggest that you go ahead and do it. You can be done completely virtually. Should you find yourself on campus, it's the only way you'll be able to get, if you send something to the printer, it's the only way you'll be able to get it off the printer. So for those of you who live in Western North Carolina and think you could potentially come up here, you'll definitely, if you think you'll print, want to get it. But I would recommend it, as it certainly isn't going to hurt. And I have there how you can go about doing that. Our learning management system, and this is for those of you who are new to online learning, this is the most stressful part of being an online learner, and that's like, where's my classroom? How do I get in my classroom? For those of you who have maybe done this a lot, it seems really obvious, but this can be the first big source of stress for you. And that is, you may not be familiar with Canvas. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about it. I'm going to show you a screenshot. It launches like everything else from your My WCU. And it could, in fact, be the DNP person who asked about trying to find that home place or DNP home place. It could be that is linked on your Canvas. So you have your Canvas, you can go ahead and launch Canvas, and you can go ahead and get into it. Some instructors are better than others about opening their Canvas course. So each course in Canvas will be represented by a tile. And again, I'll show you that in just a minute. And sometimes you can go on and it looks like, oh my God, I have no classes, because you don't have any tiles. And it's just that your professor hasn't published the course yet. Thomas dropped in, and that's one of the things I was going to say, is that there's almost always a demo course in there. It's not real, but it's something you can get in and play around in to alleviate some of that stress. I would also highly recommend, if this is your first time using Canvas, and absolutely if it's your first time taking a fully online class, go to YouTube, Google it just like you would, how do I fix my washing machine? Because there will be absolutely fantastic and not so fantastic, the whole gamut of how to do anything in Canvas, how to, I found those YouTube tutorials and videos really helpful, even for an instructor. When I'm trying to build something in Canvas and I'm not quite sure how to do it, it'll help me. And for some reason, it's just a more accessible way than some of the kind of Canvas given tutorials, but they're on there too. There's a help button, there's materials, but do take the tutorials, read the FAQs, and don't be afraid to reach out to the help desk with questions. And I know I'm terrible at this, like something doesn't seem to be working quite right, and I assume that it's just because I'm not tech savvy enough, and I'm sure everybody else knows how to do it better. But reach out if it doesn't seem to be working right. If it's not working for you the right way, reach out. Lane has dropped help desk in there, and they'll help you, or they'll get you to the faculty commons, which can maybe help you. And Mark says he likes it better than Blackboard, and I'm like, I could jump up and down and yell and scream my agreement with that. It is so much easier to use, so more intuitive than Blackboard. And I just like the way it interfaces, and the way it looks and the way it presents material on the screen. So I know that the LMS can be a huge intimidation factor for new folks. So don't let it be. Reach out, get help, play around, and you'll be fine. Again, I told you there's some, thanks, Lena. This is kind of once you log in and launch it for the first time, this is a faculty view, but your view will be very similar. Those tiles are all courses. And so you can see here that as a professor, I've got 2 of my courses that are published, and I've got 1 that is unpublished. That's kind of the sandbox that I'm playing in and developing. But you'll see on the left-hand side that it's got a nice navigation box. Some professors use the inbox, others disable it. I love the calendar feature of it. So if I'm taking 3 courses, it's going to make like that first published course that's got that kind of weird green, anything that's due on that course is going to be green. And the next one that's kind of has a blue thing on it, it's going to make those due dates or those assignments blue. So I don't know, I'm a sucker for those color-coded things, but that's kind of nice. It does that. You can also update that. You make it for yourself. It gives you a nice, on the right-hand side, a task bar. You've got this coming up. You need to do this. So you can also, you'll view your grades in there. So I love it. I do know it can be daunting and a little bit intimidating. So get in before your classes start and play around. And I think you'll feel a lot better about it. The second thing that people freak out about after how do I actually do class in an online world is, how do I get my textbooks? How do I know what textbooks I need if my professor hasn't even turned on the class yet, if I haven't seen the syllabus? And so we have a great here, again, it's on that My WCU. And so if you want to go find out, it's going to tell you what your courses are that you've registered for. You can go to the courses and it will tell you what textbooks. I'm always looking to save a buck if I can save a buck. And so I generally don't get my textbooks through the actual bookstore. I generally try and get them, on Amazon. The thing I would tell you as a professor to be careful about is watch those editions. Sometimes even the pictures don't change, but the editions will, and it's just a slight annoyance. So pay attention to those ISBN numbers, but that is how you know what texts your professors are requiring and how you get those texts, even if maybe the syllabus is not available. I think it's absolutely, I know several of you talked about your classes start June the 1st. I think it is absolutely appropriate if the syllabus is not available to you yet to reach out to the professor, to email the professor and say, would you mind sending me? I like to try and get my materials ahead of time, especially, my son really enjoys having an audio book. He's dyslexic, so it takes a little bit more time for him to get those things. So I think that's fine. Of course, they may not respond right away, but you can at least, make an attempt to reach out, and certainly use your Catamount email to do so. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of what you can expect how you're going to get your information, where your classes are, where your textbooks are, your email, how to be a student and take courses. The next part that I want to talk a little bit about is just kind of the other side of being a graduate student, and that's your professional development. And again, this is often the time, and Tracy asks a great question. Yeah, they ship them to you, Tracy, and as does the library. This is, a great time to try and carve out time to be kind of a lifelong learner, and you're going to be obviously inundated with new course material, but think about doing some professional development. We have a couple of options for you in every fall, and you may not be ready this fall since you're just starting courses this summer, but we have a 3-minute thesis competition. And it's not a real thesis, like you don't have to be doing a thesis to participate. It's really like a 3-minute elevator speech about something you're working on, a project that you're working on. It might be a project that you're working on as part of a group. HR does a big project, nurse, the DNPs, you guys will be doing projects. And this is a great way to dip your toes in and kind of see what it's like. So I would strongly recommend, just pay attention when you get these. Don't just hit your delete button right away, because we do want to help you feel engaged, but we also want to help you get ready for when you're finished with that master's degree and you're ready to start, getting a better job or expanding your profession. And these are some ways that you might do that. The library, we just talked about the library. The library has an entire section devoted to fully online students, for distance students, that a whole landing page. So it will show you how to have materials sent to you. What kind of privileges do you have? So again, this is one of those hurdles that distance folks sometimes forget, that the library, everything that the library has is available to you. And you shouldn't feel weird about, going to the library. Don't pay, for example, when you start your first project where you're doing some lit searches, don't pay Google Scholar to get information from JSTOR. That is available to you for free by being a student through the library. So, when you get those early on assignments where you're going to have to go to academic journals, we have the rights to those academic journals. You have the rights to those academic journals solely by your affiliation with Western Carolina University. There's a chat feature, and they are super responsive at Hunter Library. So again, they will be more than happy to help you, especially in the summer when it can be a little quieter, when you're starting to kind of get your, your ducks in a row for how you're going to be a student. So Hunter Library, one of the kind of downsides or bummer things that I just want you to know about are the academic policies. And this is, one of the few things that's not usually as surprising to folks who have been out of school for a while, but this can be very surprising to our recent undergrads. The undergrad world of grades and the grad world of grades are vastly different. Undergrads are used to, if they make a bad grade, they can retake the class and replace the grade. That is not a thing in graduate school. Whatever you make follows you. So it's really important to understand that there is an A, B, C, F. There are no D's in graduate school. Those of you who have some clinical components, my nurses who are on tonight, if I have social work, you can't get a lot of those, you can't get a C in those clinical courses. You need to know those policies. Graduate school policy 1F, and you are dismissed from the graduate school. Your third C, you are dismissed from the graduate school. Some programs, it's after your second C. So read those program handbooks. But what I would say is reach out for help. The learning curve can be steep at first. if you're not accustomed to being a fully online learner, it may take a minute or two to kind of get your groove about being in school. So don't let things get bad. Reach out for help. There's tutoring service, advising services. If you don't remember, you can always reach out to us. But if things get, really, really, really bad, you do have options. You do not have to just stop coming and take an F. That's the worst possible thing you can do. And it becomes so very difficult to make up for. Even if you decide, I'm not up for graduate school, you may change your mind in a couple of years, and that F will still be there, tanking your GPA and making it hard to get in. So reach out, be your own biggest advocate to make sure that these things don't happen. We do have a transfer credit policy. It's going to differ program to program, but if you've had some graduate courses before that are within the realm of what you're studying now, work with your program director to see if maybe you can get some of those credits. There is a 6-year policy in graduate school, which is also very different from undergraduate. So nothing that is older than 6 years counts anymore. And that's very different from the undergraduate world. There is a stop out policy. You can take a semester off. You may start in the summer and be doing really well, and then fall comes and you need to not work because you're changing jobs or something's going on with your kids or 1,000 different things, and you can take the fall off. That's fine. You might come back then in the spring and just pick back up where you left off. No problem. It's only after 3 consecutive semesters where you start to run into a problem. And that is that you will have to reapply to your program. So again, don't just do it, be in contact with folks, be in contact with us, be in contact with your program director. Let us talk through options with you. But do understand, if you were to take 3 consecutive semesters off, you will have to reapply. You would not be considered a student anymore. If you do need to withdraw, again, I tried to kind of preface this. Please don't just stop coming. Don't decide all is lost. Never, I'm just going to take the F. There's a lot of different extenuating circumstances and people who are very willing to work with you if they know what's going on, that you might be able to withdraw from a course. And there's some extenuating circumstances. Certainly military deployment, should that happen, and lots of medical issues and behavioral health issues, would make it so that you can get a late withdrawal and not have to have that bad grade. So I know these are not the greatest thing, as you're starting off, not really what you want to hear or think about, but I just do know that there are lots of mechanisms in place to support you. Here's, some of the aforementioned help when you need it. We've got Brain Fuse, and that is absolutely geared towards our fully online students. We've got a Writing and Learning Commons, also for, that can be that first academic paper after 20 years of not writing academic papers, can be a jar. So reach out, let work with someone to say, here's my draft, is it appropriate? And it will, it will help you and make you feel more confident. And so Brain Fuse is an online tutorial. They kind of match people up. If you say, I'm having a hard time in some of the basic math, maybe our nurses are jumping straight into titrating medicines and stuff, and they've forgotten some of that early math. Brain Fuse will get you caught up. It'll get you some tutorials to help you with that. It's a lot of those math, science that you probably haven't been thinking about in your working lives for the past few years. And then again, I think some of the best help we have here is our IT, and they really can fix just about anything and are very willing to. So if something's not working right with your computer, definitely reach out. For those of you who are new to Western, very shortly you're going to get something from EverFi that are some student conduct modules. You have to take them. It will put a registration hold on you if you do not take them. The registration holds, they'll let you register for fall, but not spring, is my understanding. Everybody has to take the sexual assault, diversity, and inclusion modules. They're like any compliance that video that you've ever done at any job you've ever had. For those of you who are younger than 24, there's also required alcohol education. And, you know, I would just say, get some earbuds, sit down, knock it out, and work through those modules. Finally, I want to end just talking about tips for taking online classes. And I'm not going to read the slide to you. You're going to be able to see it. I want to highlight the one that, as someone who teaches folks online, that I find the most influential, and that is connect with your classmates. You have no choice to connect with your classmates when you're sitting in a classroom and you're rubbing elbows. It's much harder when you're sitting at your dining room table by yourself. So reach out, join study buddies, do group chats. If you're someone, if you text, go ahead and do some of those things that you maybe wouldn't do if you were in the typical in-person classroom, just to kind of keep yourself accountable, but also every now and then you need someone who's living the same life you're living to vent to and to feel supported by. So I really find that those things really make the biggest difference. If you're someone who plans ahead, you're going to plan ahead. You don't really need that tip. The same with study space. That may, be just an extravagance you don't have in your life right now. But connecting with your classmates is something that you absolutely have control over. And I promise you, there will be someone in your cohort whose schedule is just as wonky as yours is. And that's the person who you definitely want to connect with. So that's the end of the presentation. I did see in here that I think one of the questions that Robert maybe was asking about those conduct modules, they will come to you as a link in your email. That I don't believe that they are in Canvas yet. They may launch from Canvas, but I doubt that they're there yet. But they're not a Canvas product. They're that Everify. So I think it'll instead be a link that comes to your email with those. And if you're being asked to take those and you've recently graduated from Western Carolina, it could be that you've already taken them, and so let us know that. But everyone else. Those are the same modules, okay, that Dr. Trombley mentioned. Yeah, so the conduct modules probably have not come to you yet. It's probably going to be another couple of weeks. But Megan, I do want to just make sure, because I know that the nursing folks use, they use Canvas, but then they have to use this clinical tracking thing that's totally different, separate from, and we have very little helpful information about it. So it may in fact be separate. Any other questions, guys, that we can help you with, or that you want to talk through before you get started? Yeah, 4 or 5 years, Mark. Yeah, they're going to make you take those modules. Well, if there are no more questions, when is the first day of class? That would seemingly be such an easy answer, but it's different for every single one of you, because some people, Maymester started today. Full session may start, I think June 2nd. Yeah, so for Mark, it was yesterday. For a few people, it's going to be in June. And then there's even a few of you who won't start till July. So and there's the calendar. So even a super easy question, or what should be easy, is not that straightforward and easy. Your advisor should be on your My WCU portal. You should have that in there. It's also, as Lena says, in your decision letter. So if you go back to your application portal and look at your decision letter, all of you will have an advisor in there, or you can email Lena. I know, Thomas, we're answering the phone and we're like, wow, the first day of class depends, and you sound like such an idiot that you can't just say, oh, well, it's May 8th, or whatever. So. Yeah, agreed, Megan. So. Yeah, so don't panic. Nobody should panic. Just Lane has given you some good practical advice there. If you are concerned, shoot Lena an email and she can let you know. Jump into your My WCU, jump onto your Canvas. One thing is that if your classes started yesterday, as Mark's did, your Canvas should reflect that. You should have a tile for your class. But you might not if your classes don't start until early June. Those professors, they're sometimes the worst procrastinators of all. Tuition payments, you're going to see that is all done through your My WCU. And there are some financial aid counselors that you'll reach out to financial aid. And I think Lena can probably drop the financial aid direct line in the chat for you. But that will launch, and I kind of showed you that on that My WCU thing where it said like my bill or my tuition, and you pay it all online. Contact, yeah. And I'm gonna really kind of echo what Mark is saying there. I would have no problem, and I know for some of you, when you're coming back, you can feel kind of, intimidated to reach out to a professor, but it's your class, it's, you've paid for it. Reach out and let them know, I'm looking for the syllabus. That is not out of line to say, I am looking for the syllabus. I am hoping to, I'm just wanting to be sure. And, the professors are going to accommodate you. Well, I hope you all have a wonderful semester. I hope it is successful for all of you. Again, please feel free to reach out to us should you have any questions or concerns. First thing you can do if you want is review this. We'll have it up on the website for you tomorrow morning. Good luck. Have a great time. Enjoy the content. And I look forward to seeing you guys in some of the professional development that happens. Take care, everybody, and have a great evening.
Thank you very much.